All right.
Great.
Hi, this is Linda Brubaker, and I'm a job search coach or career coach. Been doing this for the past 7 years, and I'm really excited to be able to do a quick resume review with Kristin Howland. Excuse me, Howland. Sorry about that. So, Kristin, tell me a little bit about you, what kinds of jobs you're looking for, and then we'll get started.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Linda, for this opportunity. I'm Kristin Howland, and I'm a marketing director. I've been in the education technology field for the better part of my career, and now I'm looking to change from education technology to health and wellness technology. I have experience with sales teams, making sure that they have the materials and collateral that they need to be successful. I've presented to groups of hundreds as well as even small groups. I thrive in the business environment of a hybrid workforce, although I am open to remote, and I'm based in the Boston area.
Sounds great.
Target job titles that I'm looking for are Director of Product Marketing, Head of Marketing, Senior Product Marketing Manager. Those are probably the three that have come closest to the top of the pile.
And you mentioned that you were looking to make that transition into the health and wellness
Correct.
industry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
All right. Have you had much success with that so far?
Not really.
Okay.
So I've been networking with folks who are at some of my most desirable companies.
Good.
Connecting with them on LinkedIn. Hey, saw your post. Let's have a chat. Some of them have been chatty, some of them have not, but at least they will acknowledge that I've commented on their post or what have you. So that continues, and that's how I'm going to hopefully break into these companies. The other thing that I've also done, well, two actually. One, I sit on the board of Cape Cod Hospital Auxiliary, and so I'm plugged in with the hospital scene here on Cape Cod in Massachusetts.
Perfect.
And the other thing is that I also joined an organization, an association called the Workplace Wellness Council of Massachusetts. And these may be solo wellness practitioners, health coaches, that kind of thing. Or even there are some members who are part of a larger organization, like, for example, a company that used to be called Virgin Pulse is now called Personify. And they are like a benefits platform that employers can decide to do business with. And that's all about workplace wellness and health and mental health and stuff like that. So I'm trying to at least make myself known in the health and wellness space. In fact, I went to a networking event last night called Mass Bio and met some great folks there. So I'm trying to break into the health and wellness space, having been in ed tech for so very long.
Understood. And I think you're going about it in a great number of ways. So building those networking connections, I think, is really important. The work that you're doing with the organizations is important. Build on those relationships, start connecting with some of those people too, and see where it can go. But let's take a quick look at your resume. So a couple of things. All right. Standard right now is 508 dash, not 508 in parentheses.
Okay.
I might change Newton, Mass to Greater Boston area. Okay. People don't know where Newton is.
Right.
Okay. Instead of using the pips between what those vertical lines are called, between your points of contact, take those out and insert either a tab or some extra white space.
Okay.
So for example, right now, visually, it looks as though your email address and your LinkedIn URL run into one another.
Okay.
You want to make it really easy for me to take a look at this. You have 2 to 9 seconds to grab my attention on your resume, Kristin, which means we have to be able to highlight specifically what you can do for the new job while you're moving in that area right up front, or nobody's going to find it.
Okay.
You need to label each resume, not just when you send it out in terms of what you're calling it, but also on the resume itself. And that label, that title, normally goes right here underneath your contact information and before your statement.
I've actually gone back and forth on that. And some of my resumes will say Director of Marketing at whatever.
And that's what it should be. It should be whatever the title is for the job you're looking at. That's not necessarily for you. That's for the person looking at all these resumes, because they could be looking at resumes for 5 or 6 different jobs, one right after the other. You're helping make it easy for them to see it. The other reason for adding that title is that it says, I've read the position enough to know that this is what it's called. So it's not generic. I'm really applying directly to you.
Okay.
And that application directly to them, making that very clear, is going to be important all the way through. Your professional summary is really long. I normally recommend no more than 2 to 5 lines. We're in the idea of, tweets and sound bites. And we found that over time, if it's longer than 3 to 5 lines, people stop reading.
Okay.
And it really needs to be focused in on what that role is. So the fact that you're talking up here market leading SaaS assessment product revenue doesn't do any good if you're moving into healthcare. Everything on the resume.
Keep the multi-million-dollar part.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Everything on the resume has to be tailored to the new job, at least that top third to half of the page.
Okay.
So you really want to make sure that that's really looking what they're talking about. So global marketing leader may not do any good if you're talking about local mom and pops.
Right.
Okay. Sales enablement maybe would go with regardless. The idea about supporting the fundraising efforts for a hospital system at the local level, contributing to $1 million pledge, I think that's great. You can leave that there, especially if you're moving more into that health and wellness arena, but you can also include something like that in your cover letter as well as in your accomplishments.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the fact that your resume has to be read by a computer. Computers don't sort your resume. Human beings put in those terms, but it still has to be read. And some of the older legacy systems out there, and there are probably over 500 ATM systems right now, but some of those older systems see a line that goes all the way across the page and says end of document or end of page.
Mic drop. Okay.
So my recommendation is to take it out. I like the fact we're going to highlight those particular titles, those section breaks, but you can highlight them by making them not just bold, but you could, for example, make it larger.
Okay.
Okay. That is just as good, probably better than putting that line in.
Okay.
Okay. You want no font smaller than a 10. It looks like yours is 10.5, which is okay. Your margins are fine. The other thing is that because I'm reading these primarily online, we don't write justify.
Oh, interesting.
Right justifying actually is harder to read, especially when I'm reading a lot of them.
I think it's actually only that top part that's right justified.
I think it is too. And so part of it is you need to be consistent all the way through.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Okay. Next. Remember I said you've got 2 to 9 seconds to grab attention. So you want to make sure that that top part of your resume is really focused in on the new job. Career highlights is fine. You can call it that, or you can call it accomplishment. But even there, everything needs to be focused in on what that new job is. Where you're talking about creating that sales from 6 to 15 million in 2 years, that's absolutely fantastic. However, if the organizations you're looking at are still in the less than $1 million or $1 to $2 million range, it may look as though you are overqualified.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So that career highlights section really should be the 2 to 8 most significant things you've done anywhere in your history that relate to the new job. So where you're talking here about conducting software demonstrations and implementations, that doesn't do much good if that's not what the new job is all about and the company's about.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everything there needs to be focused, and I'd rather see you have 2 that are really targeted rather than 8 that are not. That said, same way that we were talking about that professional summary statement, where we're trying to make some of that a little more generic, you need to walk that fine line between specific and generic.
Right.
Okay. Even here.
Okay.
No bullet should be longer, by the way, than 2 lines.
Okay.
in 2 lines, you're either adding fluff or it should be 2 bullets.
Okay. That one's about expense containment. So
Then what I would say if that was the case was that you
really
implemented a program of, I'm not sure that you had sales competence. It's too long. Okay. What did you do? You developed a new program to implement for sales training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what you did. You developed and implemented a sales training program resulting in a 30% reduction in travel and expenses.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Don't make it so convoluted or so long that I stop reading and you're burying the good stuff. I also recommend.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. You've got this thing down here called technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We don't normally list specific technologies because again, a lot of these are all the things that you can do, not necessarily the things that I'm interested in.
Okay.
If these are important for the new job, and by the way, the machine's going to read it regardless of where they are, but I may not. Your goal is to get me to keep reading beyond this first page, but a lot of times I'm not going to get there, at least not in that first skim. So what I recommend is in addition to this career highlights or accomplishment section, you also include a section up here called expertise or skills. In that section, what you're really looking for would be a tabbed list of, in effect, the keywords from the job, only from the job. So if some of those technologies are important for that new job, you would add it up there.
I actually had a section that I think I called it key skills. It was up there too. And it was basically using ChatGPT to compare my resume to, the job description and pull out the top 10 things, like keywords that were important. And if I had them, obviously, they were in there. But I think integrating the technology piece up there is actually a very good idea.
Okay. Remember, this is my visual. Here's what I need. Here's what you've got.
Right.
I like it tabbed across the page because it's easier for you to change. We know that all the machines can read the tabs. Okay. The other thing is that I really want it 3 across. For whatever reason, psychologically, things in 3s are visually appealing. They are psychologically appealing.
Okay. I actually could just reformat that as a 3 column. And
I don't want it columns though. No columns.
Oh, not columns. Okay.
Tabs.
Tabs.
And the reason for not columns, again, is columns are more difficult for you to change. More importantly, again, some of those older legacy systems are only going to read the first one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. And a lot of these that are here, you really don't need, whether it's in the job or not. Every job, for example, is going to ask for Microsoft Office, Teams, Excel.
You'd hope.
Okay. It's almost at this point like saying you know how to walk or answer the phone. Even though it's in the job, think about those keywords. And here's where ChatGPT can fall down on the job. You need to make your own decisions about some of that. What are the things, if you were doing a Boolean search and you've been in the technology field long enough to understand what that means, what key terms am I going to use and string together to make sure that I am using those to narrow down the field of hundreds of resumes that I'm getting to the top 20 or 50 that I want to take my initial glance at? Word isn't going to do it unless you're an admin assistant.
Right. Okay. Geez, I didn't think it was too bad.
It's not bad. Okay. I'm just giving you some suggestions. All right.
Well, I appreciate that.
When you're talking about professional experience, okay, again, your bullets are too long. You don't need to be terribly specific with it. I don't know that it needs to be Dreambox learning software.
So that's all right. So the only reason those are there is if I stay in ed tech, because that's been where I've gotten the most traction in my job search. Sometimes those are company names that people recognize. And so I did it for, it's like, it's not Google, it's not Meta, but within the ed tech space, they kind of are known.
And that's fine. But remember, at that point, if you're doing it outside of health and wellness, or if you're doing health and wellness, they have no idea what that is.
That's
nor
right.
do they care.
Okay.
Okay. So normally the part that you absolutely, in my opinion, need to tailor every time would be the professional summary, the highlights, and those skills or expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you can take the time to reformat some of this as well, depending upon what you're doing, then that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're moving into the health and wellness for this particular resume, you may want to take some of that out.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, if I'm looking at this one on the market research for Carnegie, okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you completed it doesn't tell me much. Did you?
Right.
Okay. Make sure that all those words that start this are good, strong action verbs. Okay. But whatever you did, you conducted market research leading to the development of a new product to encourage sales engagement, acknowledgement, and enablement.
Okay.
Okay. And that's, again, just off the top of my head, but the idea
Right.
is you need to make it so that I understand what it's all about. I'm looking at that and say, K-12 flashcards, big deal.
Right.
What does that have to do with me?
Okay.
I like the fact that you've limited the number of bullets under each job. I'd like to see probably the same number if you can. I know that you can't always.
Like 3 or 4 for each.
I would say, yeah, 3 to 5. Okay.
Okay.
But I like the fact that you have at least 3 in all of them. Your resume may go back a little far. You don't need to go
okay,
back.
so that
Right.
actually, I brought that up to someone else too. So question on that one, and I know that we're over time now, right? The that was actually like I loved that job, and I was there for 10 years, so it was more of a longevity, and I was very successful there. So if I mean, should I just put? I don't know. That one I'm a little stuck on.
So there are 2 different things, 2 different ways you can do it. You can leave it if you want to. Okay. I will tell you that for the most part, because it is older than, I mean, this is what, 9 years ago, when you left?
Yeah.
Okay. Normally, if it's longer than 10 years ago, people stop reading. They say it's no
Okay.
longer relevant.
Okay.
But if you did something here that was significant for the new job that you haven't done
Right.
elsewhere, or it's significant enough for the new job that you want to be able to talk about one of those accomplishments, then you can either leave it in as is, or you could add another section called additional related experience, in which
Okay.
case all you do is you list the name of the company, your job title, no dates, no bullets, but it still allows you to talk about one of those accomplishments, bring that accomplishment up top, bring some of the skills in if they aren't elsewhere, and bring those up top. Still allows you to refer back to it.
What did you call that section?
Additional related experience.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. When you're talking about association memberships, I'm not sure that I would call it that. Not only that, just being a member of an association does you no good.
Okay.
It says you pay your dues.
Yeah, like that I do.
Okay. But all the work that you're doing for the hospital auxiliary, okay, that's important for the new jobs as well as for anything else. So you can either call it, I'm not sure that I would call it an association member. I might call it relevant career activities or community activities, volunteer work.
I like that. Relevant community activity.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So that's just a very brief rundown, Kristin.
That's extremely helpful, Linda. Thank you.
I'm very
glad. I
glad.
have 3 pages of notes. So now I know where I'll spend the rest of my Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. But at least it gives you a starting point.
Absolutely. And I'll see you on our next Lunch and Learn.
Sounds wonderful. And in the meantime, Kristin, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, can you just share your LinkedIn URL? And when I post it, you can also include that in the comments for the post.
Sure. Do you want me to send it to you in the chat right now?
No, I want you to.
Oh, you want me to say it?
Well, let me see whether or not. Let me see. There's the chat. Let's see whether or not it'll show up on the video.
Okay.
It should. I don't know that it will show up on the video is what I mean.
Oh, got it. Let me try to. Yeah,
Okay.
my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Kristin930.
Sounds
That's
good.
Kristin.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Kristin.
Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.